The insufflator is of basically two types. One is analog, other is digital. This insufflator is digital insufflator, and the bottom this we have the analog insufflator. Previously, previously the Johnson and the Stars were making the insufflator which was analog only. This is analog insufflator. It has a dial type of meter, and it was used to just measure the different settings. In the insufflator, there should be quadromanometric indicator. There should be 4 indicators. One is known as preset pressure, second is actual pressure, third is flow rate, and fourth is total amount of gas used. So there are 4 important indicators which should have in all the medical grade insufflator. It has to be there. Now in analog, it is mechanically controlled. There are valves, so with the different pressure, this valve will open, it will close. Nowadays analog is not there. Digital insufflators are used, in which there is a microprocessor inside. There is a small computer chip that will take care of all the problems which is happening, and it will take care of the reading of the gas also. Now in the insufflator, the first property you should ask when you are buying the insufflator is what is the capacity of the insufflator. Insufflator is available in the market starting from 6 liter up to 45 liter. So my question is that which one you will buy?
45.
Why?
Because you don't have to keep changing the gas cylinder repeatedly?
No. Gas cylinder doesn't matter. Gas cylinder, even in 6 liter insufflator, you can attach 600 liter gas.
Then I'll go for 6. Purely because generally we don't need more than 5 liters or 5 to 6 liters.
That also needs to be little bit you have to think about. I will tell you that it depends upon what surgery you are planning to do. If you are a gynecologist and you have planned that I will be limited myself for the infertility cases, I will be doing diagnostic laparoscopy, tubal patency test, PCOD, then you will prefer the insufflator which should have only 6 liter capacity. But if you want to perform some surgery where you need some advanced procedure like TLH or hernia surgery for surgeon, fundoplication and all, then you should have at least 30 liter insufflator. And if you are planning to perform bariatric surgery, then you should have at least 45 liter insufflator. Less than that you cannot work. Now question is why it is so. That suppose you are performing advanced surgery and if there is bleeding and if you are using suction, with the high suction, if it is more suction speed and if your insufflator is of low capacity, then abdomen will collapse and you cannot. 6 liter insufflator means maximum capacity is only 6 liter per minute flow. So if the leak is more than 6 liter per minute, it will not work. So high capacity insufflators are better. If you have a high capacity insufflator, you can perform a small surgery. But with the low capacity insufflator, you cannot perform the small surgery. Exactly same way, suppose you have the insufflator of the low capacity and during the surgery, suppose there is some leak from some of the cannula, you will be in big trouble. And in those situations, you have to increase the pressure. And once the pressure you will increase, then the patient will be at risk. So ideally, high capacity insufflator you should buy. But the problem is that high capacity insufflator is expensive. If you will buy a 6 liter insufflator, it will cost you 50,000 rupees. And if you will buy a 45 liter insufflator, it will cost you 4 lakhs. That much difference is there. Of good company, Stryker or Star, It is expensive, very expensive. 4 lakh rupees for microprocessor control digital insufflator means 400,000. So you have to decide. Optimum 18-liter insufflator will work for simple surgery like cholecystectomy, appendicectomy, hernia, TLH, LAVH. 18-liter insufflator will be fine enough. But pardon? 18-liter will cost you approximately 2 lakhs rupees for good company. Microprocessor control, it will be 1.8 or 2. So this way you will decide that which insufflator you want to buy. Now next thing you have to look for the insufflator is that it should be microprocessor control. There are 2 types of insufflator digital. One is simple digital, other is digital with the microprocessor control. This is digital with the microprocessor control. Now what is the difference between this and only digital is that if you have only digital, it will show you the digits, but it will not give you the alarm if something goes wrong, and it doesn't have protective circuit. But in microprocessor controlled, there are a lot of protective circuit which help you to find out if some error, some mistake happens. Just like here, one important difference is, like suppose this is insufflator. Right now what is there inside this tube? Air. And up to the cylinder it is air. Suppose this is overnight, it was switched off. Then there is air. Now, once you will switch on the insufflator, it will expel 800 ml air out. It has cleaned the circuit. It has flushed the circuit. And now it is stopped. Now there is no flow. Just like when your nurse, she is putting the IV drip, once she is connecting, then it is flushing all the saline out, so that any air bubbles should not be there. Exactly same way it is flushing the air out and bringing the CO2 up to the tip. So the amount of the air trapped in this tubing, starting from cylinder up to the tip here, is 800 ml. And this 800 ml is sufficient enough to kill your patient if it is directly going into any vein. So there is one protection here. Suppose you will attach it with the Veress needle here. You will attach it with the Veress needle and then you will switch it on. It will give you alarm. And it will give you error. And this error, this is error. Means the insufflator knows that the surgeon is foolish. And it is giving you alarm. And now all the buttons are frozen. It is freeze. Do you know why? I have attached it with the Veress needle before switching it on. This is wrong. Your nurse is not first attaching the IV set into the cannula and then she is not pricking it there. What she is doing first she is pricking on the saline and then after flushing she is attaching. So this is mistake. Never attach the tubing before switching the insufflator on. First you switch on the insufflator and let it flush out the air. This will flush out. This is out. And after that you attach. There will be no error. There is no error. So this is the first property of a good quality microprocessor insufflator. So that it should recognize the air trapped into the tubing and it will force you to flush the air out. Second, this is known as preset pressure. This is preset pressure. Preset pressure is the command given by surgeon to the insufflator. Preset pressure is command given by surgeon to the insufflator. And preset pressure you should keep according to surgery. Suppose you want to perform diagnostic thoracoscopy or operative thoracoscopy, then maximum preset pressure you should use 6 mm of mercury. Remember, ideally in thoracoscopy we should not put any gas. But if you have to introduce, you should maximum use 6. If you are performing diagnostic laparoscopy under local anesthesia, then you have to keep 8. diagnostic laparoscopy under local. Why? Because your patient is not on the supported ventilation. Patient is not intubated. So if you will keep 18, then patient cannot breathe. Isn't it? If you are performing under general anesthesia, simple procedure, you will keep 12. Like for hysterectomy, for cholecystectomy. Maximum you can go to 15. If you don't have comfortable the gas inside, then go 15. Maximum you can go 18. If the patient is obese, bowel preparation was not good, a lot of intestinal loops are distended, your patient cannot be positioned, sigmoid colon is distended, uterus size is big, a lot of adhesion, you are struggling, then maximum you can go 18. If you go more than 18, that means accident is waiting to happen. What will be the problem? What are the factors of the hemodynamic changes which is directly affected by the pressure? Can you point out few of them? If the gas is more, there will be what are the things will be more? Yes, hypercapnia will more. Sorry, let me point out. There will be more decrease in the venous return because of the more pressure over the vena cava. Cardiac output will decrease because of the pressure over the vena cava. There will be decrease in minute volume and tidal volume because of the pressure over the diaphragm. There will be agitosis and periorbitis and the congestion. There will be pulmonary congestion. After that, you have the cerebral edema because of the cerebral artery dilatation. There will be more CO2 because the pressure, if it is more, then from the peritoneum, transfer of the CO2 will be faster. And that's why hypercarbia will result. If you are performing surgery and a lot of oozing there, there will be more chances of air embolism also. Isn't it? So altogether, you are putting your patient in danger. Remember, at 12 mm of mercury, the abdominal cavity is not disfigured. Just I will show you. Suppose this is a glove and I am putting 12. This is 12 and I will start the flow. Now this flow is started. And see here, this glove is distended. But if I will keep it like this even for one day, the shape of the gloves will remain same. Shape is not changing. Can you see that? It is distended. It is nicely distended, but it is not getting disfigured. It is completely correct in the shape. But as soon as we will go, suppose I will show you, now I am putting 25. And you see it will start getting disfigured now. It is disfiguring. So whenever you are more than 18, that means you are waiting for accident to happen. And the abdominal cavity will have the behavior like that. There will be more, sometimes surgical emphysema. It propagates up to neck, up to groin. Sometimes pre-peritoneal space gas enters. Because gas is restless to go somewhere because of the more pressure. And it is disfiguring. But 12 mm mercury will not disfigure. 12 mm is ideal. You should use 12 to 15 maximum. And this way you can perform it at the 12. Now, this is regarding the preset pressure. Now, sometime if you are performing extraperitoneal surgery, like extraperitoneal hernia surgery or retroperitoneoscopy, then you can go to 22 or 25 also. Like totally extraperitoneal hernia or retroperitoneoscopy. Why? Because we are not in the abdominal cavity, so it will not press the diaphragm, it will not press the vena cava, and it will not do that much transfer of the gas, because peritoneum is a semi-permeable membrane. But in retroperitoneum, it is no that much affinity for the absorption of the gas is not there. And retroperitoneoscopy, if you are performing, it's an artificial cavity, a small cavity, artificial cavity, and we need little bit more pressure to make it bigger, because it is collapsing. Abdominal cavity is a natural cavity. It's a natural cavity which is pre-existing. So only you have to make it distended. But here you have to break the fibrous trabecules. You have to break the fibrous trabeculae in the artificial cavity. So 22. Sometimes some people, if they are performing like axilloscopy or saphenous vein surgery in the thigh, and in those situations you may need more, like 30. But this should never be practiced in laparoscopy. So this is preset pressure. Preset pressure is the command given by the surgeon to the insufflator. Now another pressure what you have is, this is known as actual pressure. Actual pressure is the real pressure which will be sensed by the insufflator at the tip of the tubing. Like if I will push it, it is 35. Now 0. Why 0? It is in? Yes. Now I will pull. It is minus. It is showing minus. If I am pulling, it is minus. Pushing, it is plus. Not doing anything, 0. Means 0 atmospheric gravity, no pressure. There is no pressure here. So this is actual pressure. Now insufflator, the job of insufflator is, it will try to bring the actual pressure near the preset pressure. Always insufflator has this work. All the price what we are paying to the engineering of the insufflator is just to bring the actual pressure near the preset pressure. How? We will see that. Suppose we will start the flow. Here the flow is started. And as soon as this 12 will come, the flow is stopped, 0. Now it will not go more than 12. This is the work of insufflator. Not only that, if the pressure is more, like I am pressing it from outside. Now what is actual pressure? 40. Now it will give alarm. And then it will take the gas back. It is taking the gas back. It has pulled it back. If it is less, again it will push it in. Pushing in. So if it is more than 12, it will take the gas back. If it is less than 12, it will push the gas in. Now question is that why it didn't take the gas back immediately? Why it was waiting for 10 seconds? When I was pressing it didn't take the back immediately. It gives first the alarm. And after 10 seconds, now it is pulling the gas back. Now it is taking the gas back after 10 seconds. Why it is so?
The alarm should alert the operator first?
Yes, alarm should alert the operator first. Yes, why? Because always pressure is more when you are putting your secondary trocars. And during introduction of the secondary trocar, if it will withdraw the gas, I will hit the bowel. Or I can hit the uterus or liver. So that's why it gives alarm. That whatever you are doing, do it immediately. Otherwise I am going to take the gas back. If you start hearing the alarm, then you should stop. First 10 seconds it will not give you alarm. No alarm. There is no alarm there. And after that, as soon as alarm is there, you remove your hand. And then attempt second time. Don't keep on pushing it if you are hearing the alarm. That is risky. If you are putting the secondary trocars and as soon as alarm is audible, you will immediately release and second attempt. Now it will count again 10 seconds from the beginning. And that way you can buy the time. So insufflator doesn't only push the gas, it takes the gas back. Now this is regarding the preset pressure. Preset pressure doesn't have to take anything from actual pressure. It will tell you true story. If some assistant is pressing, like it becomes now 28. Suppose some assistant hand is resting over the abdomen of the person. Then it will show more and it will tell, alarm it will give. Then you will draw the attention who is pressing, okay, remove your hand, what you are doing, why you are resting on the abdomen. Or if you have a lot of insufflation, suppose you are using argon beamer, then argon gas is discharged, or you are using a lot of irrigation. Suppose you are putting 1 liter saline inside, then insufflator will take 1 liter gas back, because that saline is adding extra volume there, and that will increase the pressure. So this way it is sensitive, and it will try to control automatically. You don't have to do any insufflator of the world, even the analog insufflator. It does automatically, it will adjust the pressure. You don't have to think about. Now the next is flow rate. There are two types of flow rate. One is for varus needle and other is for cannula. There are two types of flow rate. One is for varus needle and other is for cannula. If you are using varus needle, what should be flow rate? 1 liter. Maximum 2. But optimum and ideal is 1 liter per minute. That's why it is written here 0 to 1. 1 liter why? Because accidentally if our varus needle is in vein also, patient will not die. Because our body has a capacity to absorb and expel out the CO2 which is going directly into the vein up to the maximum 2 liter per minute. Isn't it? And that's why we are using CO2. Why we are using CO2? To prevent the air embolism. And accidentally if CO2 enters into the vein, up to 2 liter it is safe. But for making it more safer, we should keep at 1 liter. So whenever you use varus needle, you will use 1 liter. And during varus needle mode, most of the insufflator automatically change it to the, which is known as pulsatile mode. You see here, you will put to 0 to 1 and start it. Now this is pulsatile mode. What is pulsatile mode? You will hear one sound there. This is pulsatile. Insufflator is not going continuous. Stop. Stop. Why? Because it wants to synchronize with the movement of the diaphragm. When you are putting it, insufflator doesn't want to push the gas abruptly to prevent the vasovagal shock. So it will give pulsatile. When diaphragm is moving up, it will put the gas in. When diaphragm going down, it will take the gas out. And this is what is used, the pulsatile mode. And as soon as you will remove it, it will become continuous. Now it is continuous. Continuous, the sound will not come because of, but you can feel it. You can feel it. Isn't it? This is flowing. If you put in your ear, you can listen it. It is. Can you see now? But it is continuous.
Yeah.
No more pulsatile. It is going continuous.
Yeah.
But because opening is more, so sound is not produced. Opening is more, so sound. But what is the flow rate? 1. If you will attach, it is continuous. This is not fluctuating. What is the actual pressure?
0.
Why? It's going in open air. If I will attach,
Close space.
then it will start increasing. See, but flow rate is 1. Now it is 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 11, 12. It will go 1 or 2 points above and then again come down. Now it will never go up. Isn't it? So this way automatically it become continuous. But if I will attach the varus needle, automatically it will become pulsatile. Here this is pulsatile now. This is pulsatile. And there will be some fluctuation. This is a problem. Fluctuation is a problem. Whenever you will use varus needle, this is fluctuating. What is the, sometime it is 0, sometime it is 10, sometime it is 14, sometime it is 20. So how you will understand what is the actual pressure? Tell me. In the varus needle, some people what they do, by seeing this fluctuation, they get afraid that my pressure is more. And then they take the varus needle out.
touching something.
No. Remember, this is due to the resistance of the eye of the vertical is so small, that's why it is fluctuating. So, you have to see minimum of the 5 reading. Minimum of the 5 reading is 3. That means actual pressure is 3. If you will see, now 0 will not come. Minimum of the 5 is 6. That is actually 6. If I will remove it, minimum of the 5 will come 0. You will see that. 0. Isn't it? So pressure is 0. You should ignore the upper limit with the vertical. You should only consider the lower limit. That is the actual pressure. But if you will remove the vertical, now this error, this will not happen. Because this error of the fluctuation is due to the decrease, the small size of the eye of the vertical. So with the vertical, actual pressure is the minimum of the 5 reading. Here there is no problem. It will show you real actual. It's okay? So we have to use it. Now, if you have the cannula in, then you should not keep 0 to 1. In the cannula you should put 0 to max. Because if it is 1 liter and suppose you have forgotten to put the reducer and suddenly abdomen is collapsed, now you have to go and have a cup of tea by the time it will get distracted. It is taking time, isn't it? And then you have to wait. You cannot perform surgery because little gas is leaking everywhere. So once you have started doing surgery, then you will put to the 0 to max. Now your insufflator will be full charged, and it will decide the gas flow according to the leak. Right now what is gas flow? 0. Now I am leaking. See here. Now gas flow is now, and see here, still my gloves is erect. And what is the actual pressure? Well, maintain. Now I am decreasing. Yes, but you are losing the gas. But insufflator will not give a problem to you. Now I am decreasing. And you will see automatically the flow rate is decreasing. And if it is stopped, then it becomes 0. So insufflator will automatically decide according to the leak. If there is no leaking, it will be 0. If it is leaking, it will decide the flow according to the leak. Now, here there is a reason behind that. Actually, there is no any insufflator which is manual. The manual means you are giving the command to that insufflator that maximum should be that much. You cannot force any insufflator of the world to push the gas into the abdomen if it is not required. Even in the stars, if you are putting to the 6, it will not flow at the 6 if it is not required. 6 means maximum will be 6. And why that is good? Because more than 5 liter per minute leak for more than 5 liter per minute leak for more than 5 minutes will kill your patient due to the ventricular fibrillation and hypothermia. In winter season, extreme cold weather is there. Your OT is not warm, and patient you are panting and patient is shivering, and after anesthesia you will use without CO2 warmer, you will use the cold CO2, and if there is more than 5 liter leak, that means you are showering the patient and bringing below a fan, and then all the blood of the splanchnic bed will become cold, and that cold blood will go to vena cava and then to the heart, there will be fibrillation. So those insufflators are why they are good, that if there is more than 5 liter leak, it will draw your attention. This will not draw my attention because this is automatic. If I am leaking, like I am leaking here, but still my abdomen is distended, and I am doing surgery. I didn't know what happened. And then at the last, I will learn only if the accident happens. That's why in the car, there is cruise control. You can put the cruise control on. You can fix it to 60 km per hour or 80 km per hour. Now your driver cannot drive the car more than that speed. When he will press the accelerator, it will not go. So automatic means it will not have any control. And in those situations, if the gas is leaking, it will not draw your attention. You have to see here repeatedly your own. Otherwise, it will keep on compensating all the leak. And at the end of the day, you will see that, oh, 200-liter gas I have used for this simple surgery. Because one of your valve of your cannula was open. And all the gas was leaking from there. And then that will create, what are the problems which can happen due to the excessive leak of the gas? One is hypothermia, another, that is due to hypothermia, and another, dryness of the intestine. Humidity will be lost, and all the peritoneal fluid will get evaporated. And then all the intestine will become dry, and there will be very bad adhesion, sometimes fistulization, sometimes you may have the long paralytic ileus. So that's why if you are a colorectal surgeon, or if your surgery is prolonging more than 1 or 2 hours, then you must try to irrigate some saline here and there in the abdominal cavity. If you are bleeding, then it is not necessary, because that blood itself will replace the humidity. But if you are not bleeding, it is risky. That doesn't mean you bleed it. But what you do, you try to irrigate it, the saline here and there. In the bleeding, humidity is maintained. So this should be, yes?
Is there any indicator on your surfacer that tells you that the gas is leaking? Or you have
Yes.
to find it out yourself?
Here flow rate is 0. That means gas is not leaking. But now you see, it is leaking. What is 4? So, but you have to see that. It will not draw your attention. It will keep on replacing it according to the demand. But if you will keep it to the 6, so what is the requirement? In that one it is good, because maximum flow rate you have fixed to the 6. And if it is more than that, it will collapse, abdomen will collapse. Once abdomen will collapse, then you have to see them where is the leak. And then you will stop your leak, isn't it? You will take a bite, or you will replace the reducer which you have forgotten to take out, and this way it will draw the attention. But this 6 you will never use if you are doing advanced surgery. Like you are doing nephrectomy, radical hysterectomy, or some big procedure, then you will keep to the maximum there also. You will keep to 45. Because if suddenly some bleeding happens and you will use suction, with the 6 you cannot. But remember, even if you are putting to the high flow, that doesn't mean it will push high flow. That means it is ready for high flow.
In this we cannot fix the maximum limit?
No, it is always maximum.
It is always maximum.
There are 2 flow, one for cannula, one for venous. But here also it will not push if it is not required.
No.
Isn't it? Maximum means it will never push 45 meters per minute if it is not required, because it has to keep actual pressure near the preset pressure. That is the basic work of any insufflator. So if I will put to the 30, that doesn't mean it will push 30. That means it is ready for maximum 30. So that if it is required, it can go up to 30. Just like cruise control, you will, if some enemy is coming from behind, you will remove the cruise control. But at that time emergency, you will take the driver to go ahead, push the accelerator as much as you can. So if there is a death and life during bleeding, you are not thinking about the hypothermia. At that time, you have to suck all the blood out, and you will keep to the maximum. So this was regarding this flow rate. Now, next important indicator what we have is total amount of gas used. Total amount of gas used, how much gas it is used here? 12.4. Means till I switch it on, 12.4 liter of the gas I have wasted in the air. I have wasted here. Now 2-3 questions is there. One question is what this air will CO2 will do. It will harm us. Of course. It will not harm. Why? What is the impact of the CO2 if I am inhaling the CO2? What will happen? This way, this industrial CO2 you should never use. You should use the medical grade CO2. Now, next question. What should be the minimum amount of the gas required to create the pneumoperitoneum?
4.5 to 5 liters.
Actually, it is minimum is 1.5 liter, maximum is 6 liter on an average. Do you know why? It depends upon the many factors, and these are the variables which we have to keep in mind. First variable is that the size of the patient. One patient is very small, another is very tall. Then the amount of the gas required for both those patients will be different. Second is bowel preparation. If you will do very good bowel preparation, you have given Pegleg powder 2-3 sachets from 2 days before, and then there was no fiber-free diet were given. This type of strict bowel preparation is required for radical hysterectomy, for colorectal surgery. Then all the bowel loop will be collapsed. And then you can put more gas inside, up to 6 liter patient can accommodate. Another variable is muscle relaxant given by your anesthetist. If muscle relaxation was not sufficient, patient is tight, patient is light, then we cannot put more gas. Within 1 liter, 1.5 liter, abdomen will, actual pressure will reach to the patient pressure. But if patient is fully relaxed, you can put up to 4-5 liter. More gas if you can introduce, that means more safe it is. That means you have more big cavity. And big cavity means more safer. Your trocar entry is safe. Other variables are laxicity of the abdomen, like parity. In multipara women, it is quite safe. In nulliparous or muscular man, it is difficult. That's why for the sterilization purposes, gynecologists even without veracity they put the trocar. Why? Because lax abdomen. Because already they have delivered 2-3 babies. So they lift it out and they put it. But the same you cannot do in a 20-year-old muscular man who is going gym every day. You cannot do. Abdomen you cannot hold also. The muscle will be so tight that you cannot lift it. So in those situations, less gas will go. In grand multipara, you can go more than 6 liters, sometimes 8-10 liters, because her abdomen is after 8-9 deliveries, and suppose elderly after 60-year age, it will relax. It will go that much up. So very good to put the trocar. It is very safe. So another is space occupying lesion. Suppose you have already a big myoma, big ovarian cyst of 20 centimeters. Suppose then there is no space left for the gas to go, and it is risky. You may be full within 1 liter only. So one lesion is also important. Another important is that any fluid like hemoperitoneum or ascites. The patient has ectopic pregnancy, already 1.5 liter gas is inside the abdomen. Then within 500 ml or 1 liter my gas will be full. Unless until I increase the pressure. This I am telling minimum 1.5 and maximum 6 liter. This I am telling at 12 millimeter of mercury. If I will put to 18, then the double will accommodate because it will be more compressed. Isn't it? So this I am telling about 12. So with the 12 millimeter of mercury, minimum 1.5, maximum 6 liter of the gas, our abdominal cavity on an average adult human can accommodate. In adult, in the baby, small children, only 500 ml it will be full. Now next question is that, but if it is less than 1.5, we should be afraid. If it is more than 6, then also it is not good. Why? I am telling you later. Now the next is how much gas is required for 1 hour surgery.
Again, it depends on what's the factor.
1 hour surgery, yes, minimum, a lot of factors are there. Minimum is 18 liters. Suppose I have done 1 hour surgery,
total amount of gas used.
Any surgery. Like
We are talking about the total amount
total
of gas.
amount of gas. The total amount of gas to create the initial pneumoperitoneum was 1.5 to 6 before putting our primary trocar. But suppose all the trocar is now in and we started surgery. In 1 hour minimum should be 18 liter, then you are happy. It is good. 18 liter, 1/8. And in that 20% is absorbed by our body. That is 3.6 liter gas is absorbed by peritoneum, 20%. At 12 millimeter of mercury. If you increase to 18, then the rate of absorption will become 40%. See the difference. At 12, only 3.6 liter of gas was absorbed in 1 hour. And if you have a habit of performing surgery at 18, then 7 liter gas will absorb in 1 hour. Because more pressure gradient, faster absorption. And remember, more the gas will be absorbed, more risky it is. Hypercarbia will develop. In 1 hour, 3.6 liter gas is not much. Because our body can expel it out. Because our mechanism is there, that's why we are using CO2, that it is carried out directly with the plasma to the lungs and then it is washed out. As I have told you earlier that within the aerobic exercises or marathon, there is some time we are expelling 200 ml gas per minute. So this 3.6 in 1 hour is not much. It is well within the capacity of our physiology of the body. But more than that will be risky, especially if the patient is high risk, like COPD, cardiac disease. Now, maximum is no limit. Maximum depends upon how bad our system is. Suppose all the pores are loose, your trocar's valves are faulty. You forgot to put the reducer. One of the valve was open. That means it may be 200 liter by the end of 1 hour or 2 hours. And at the end of surgery, you should not see that. If it is more than 18, we should give punishment to ourselves. Why? That means, no, I am not a good surgeon. Why it happened? You take the class of all your nurses and check all the cannula. It is not only the loss of the CO2. I am not talking about CO2. Is more expensive than the nitrous and oxygen also. I don't know why, but this is the costliest gas. Although it is not that much life-saving, but then also. Now the question is, you will ask that why it is there. You check all your cannula. You check your system, because one day patient will create complication. If the more leak is there, that means more chances of complications are there. Why? Because patient has the hypothermia, patient will have the adhesions, and you are also in trouble, and that has the bad effect. Humidity will be lost. So this is important to keep in mind for the insufflator. Maximum amount should not cross more than 18. Now, I will ask you few questions, and if you will answer those questions, that means you understood the insufflator. You can write those questions also. Question number 1. Preset pressure is 12. Actual pressure is 6. Preset pressure is 12. Actual pressure is 6. Flow rate 1 liter per minute. Total amount of gas used is 12 liter. In a female 22-year-old nulliparous woman, total amount of the gas used is 12 liter. In a 22-year-old nulliparous woman with the varus riddle, and still there is no distension. Then where the gas is going?
It's leaking.
Okay, one is leaking. Another?
Preset pressure is 12. Actual pressure is not building up, and there's no distension. There's nothing else that's going on.
Yes. So one is leaking. Another? Answer?
The needle has gone into the pre-peritoneum.
Needle has gone to the pre-peritoneum. This is second answer. Third?
But with that, the pressure goes up. Where
Yeah.
if it's stuck, that's why we struggle to take the venous out or just move it.
Yes. Another? Any other?
It's important.
Pardon? No, one answer leaking is correct. But I need one more answer. It is in vessel. In the vein. I will tell you. No, not in bowel. Not in bowel. Why? I will tell you. Nothing happens. As long as you are putting 1 liter per minute, patient will not die. Because it is getting washed out. That's the property of CO. That's why we are keeping 1 liter. But leak has one more thing, that leak will not keep at 6. 6 is the pressure of vena cava. That means it is in the vena cava. And directly it is going. Now, second question.
So, but then that would mean that we've gone into a very big blood vessel.
Yes.
And the
Vena cava.
vessel
Like 12 liters of gas.
No, if the bleeding is, if the breast you did, that's why nowadays we don't do the diddle movement test. Previously people were going and they were doing diddle movement test. But diddle movement test is discouraged. But that is another story. You are also correct, it may be bleeding. It may die due to hypovolemia. But we are not talking about that. We are only concerned about our insufflator readings. Now the next question. Preset pressure is 12. Actual pressure is also 12. Pressure is 12. Actual pressure is 12. Flow rate is 0.5 liter per minute. Flow rate is 0.5 liter per minute and total amount of gas used is 500 ml. Then where our gas is going? Yes. Total amount of gas used is 500 ml, half liter. 500 ml. Then it is pre-patent. Why? See, just like this gloves, within 2 to 300 ml, actual pressure will reach to the preset pressure. Because peritoneum will start tenting down. Isn't it? But still some flow is there. Do you know why? Because it is still detaching. The fibrous trabecules are breaking and it is spreading slowly. Slowly it is trying to break. Remember, at 12 millimeter of mercury actual preset pressure, maximum capacity of the pre-peritoneal space is 1 liter. Once the 1 liter will achieve, then flow rate will stop. Is it okay? That's why just within 400-500 ml, preset pressure is 12, actual pressure is also 12. But still flow rate is 0.5 liter per minute. No, not in the omentum, pre-peritoneum. In between the peritoneum and the rectus. And it is pre-peritoneum.
This is what happens when we initially think, oh, we are in.
Yes.
It gives a false thing, but after the while we realize we are
Yes,
not in.
that happens if you are initially thinking you are in, but after that it is pressure is increased and all of a sudden and there is no distance and now you are lost. So this you should keep in mind. Now at 12 millimeter of mercury pressure, maximum capacity of the pre-peritoneal space will be 1 liter. But if I will increase it to 18, it can take 1 liter further. Isn't it? Because it will be compressed. More pressure I will increase there, more amount of the gas can go in the pre-peritoneum. Now the next question. Preset pressure is 12. Actual pressure is 12. Flow rate is 0. And total amount of gas used is 200 ml. Then where are we? Okay, again preset pressure is 12. Actual pressure is 12. Flow rate is 0. And total amount of gas used is only 200 ml. 200 ml.
No, it's actually it's just a tubing. There's no flow. It's just that coming out of the tube.
After the tube, where?
Whole organ.
After the tube, pardon?
The very
Pardon?
Cannula fraction.
Pardon?
No,
Cannula
but there's no
fraction.
flow here.
No, it means you may have
Obstruction. You are saying
very
somewhere it is
small
key.
block.
Yeah.
No, the tube may
very
have
small
the
block.
tube may have
The
flow from the
pressure of the
cannula, so it's just in the atmosphere. So that's
In
why
the atmosphere,
It won't be zero.
it will be 0. Actual pressure will be 0.
So the very small tip is blocked.
Where is it is blocked? Okay, another. Actually, I will tell you, it is in the rectus or muscle.
Okay.
It is rectus or muscle. Why it is not blocked? Next question will answer this question. Every other question is the answer of the first one. So this is not blocked. This is in the either subcutaneous or rectus or muscle. Now the next question. Preset pressure is 12. Actual pressure is 30. Flow rate is 0. And total amount of gas used is 200 ml.
Same as a block.
This is block.
This is
This is block. This is block.
This is block.
This
Do you
is
know?
the pressure
Because actual
is high.
Yes. Why I will tell you. I will tell you. See here. Here I am making a very small cavity. I will show you. And I have started the flow. See here how much? Only 100 ml. What is there? 0.1. But is the actual pressure is increasing? No. What is actual?
Actually will go up.
Actual will grow up. You will see. What is it? 51. And will give you alarm. But if I will leave it, again it will not come. Is created, so actual will never go beyond the preset. There is only one setting in which actual pressure can go beyond the preset pressure, and that setting is block. If there is any small, like in axilla, like in breast, like in joint, like in retroperitoneum, anywhere if you want to insufflate the gas, if there is any small cavity, the insufflator will try to keep the actual pressure near the preset pressure. It will never go above, beyond. But if there is any obstruction, immediately it gives you alarm and it goes beyond. Obstruction may be at many places. One obstruction, already I have shown, I have kicked it. And it is 38, 61. And alarm. This is alarm. Another obstruction, your valve is accidentally closed. And it will 79. It will give you alarm. Another obstruction, if I will open the valve, no alarm. Other obstruction, eye of the breast is touching the omentum or bowel. See, 48. It is alarm. If I will leave it, no alarm. So, this is the only setting in the insufflator where actual pressure goes beyond the preset pressure. And whenever actual pressure goes beyond the preset and started giving alarm, you should immediately take the vesicle out. Either vesicle is blocked, or its channel is blocked, or somewhere it is kinked, or your nurse is pressing it. Isn't it? So this is regarding, now next question. Preset pressure is 12. Actual pressure is 12. Flow rate is 0.5 liter per minute. Total amount of gas used is 500 ml. And there is unilateral distension. Then where the gas is going?
Taking 300 only.
No, it is going in bowel. Why? I will tell you. If you will go to the pre-peritoneum, it will never give you unilateral. It will give you homogeneous. Do you know, in peritoneum, we cannot force the gas to go in one direction. In peritoneum, gas will go wherever it will try to find the least resistance. And the maximum easy way to get the gas is below the arcuate line. Because the sagged peritoneum, even if you will take the gas out, that sagging of the peritoneum will keep on creating problem for you. And you cannot perform the surgery. Isn't it? So this is important. You should keep in mind that the pre-peritoneal space, only 2 kg is insufflated with this cylinder is 2 kg. And in 1 kg there is 22 liter gas. So 2 kg is 44 liter. So if you are very carefully, if you are adjusting the CO2, then you can adjust how many you can perform? 2 surgery. 2 surgery you can do. Which is 2 surgery is possible. If it is less than that, if you are leaking a lot, maybe in the half surgery it will be wasted. 1 hour surgery, if 2 surgeries are there, you can do. But generally you should keep the bigger cylinder. If you have a central supply in the hospital, it is okay. Otherwise, bigger cylinder you will keep, and that this is approximately कितना लिखा हुआ है 12 kg है sir. This is 12 kg.
12 into 22.
पढ़ा? कितना? लिखा हुआ होगा. 12 kg cylinder, 20 kg, 80 kg, all are available. And then you can use it. Now another important that some of the vendors what they do, they put some water inside the cylinder. So that every time, suppose it is 12 kg, they put 6 kg water there. So water comes mixed with the CO2 because it is liquid. Now if it is erect up, it is safe because water drops down, CO2 liquid will be on the top and only CO2 goes inside. But if you are keeping lying down position, some water also enters and then it will spoil your insufflator. Insufflator will be spoiled and you will be in trouble. So always keep it erect up. And once it is empty, then try to weight it, and the empty cylinder weight is written there. And when they are bringing it again after filling up the insufflator, the gas, you should weight it again. And you should give the money according to the kg, how much they have brought it. If you do 1-2 times, then they will not do next time this water thing. They know that it will be like it will be weighed. Just like in the LPG also they do this problem. In LPG also it is there. So this is one thing which vendors they do. They give less pressure and little water. So that should be avoided. Another problem that when you are doing LAVH, at that time you have two components. One is laparoscopic, another is vaginal. During the laparoscopy, once you have finished the round ligament, fallopian tube, ovarian ligament and the 2.5 cm over the broad ligament, then for uterosacral, vacant dot, uterine, you have to go vaginally. Now at that time, cannula should be there, instrument should be out and abdomen is deflated. But sometimes we forget to take this, insufflator is off, but we forget to take this tubing away. And suppose it is attached and insufflator is off, then the blood will enter from this tubing and it will enter into the insufflator. And remember, even if the 2 ml fluid or saline or blood has entered from this tubing inside the insufflator, your insufflator need at least 1 lakh rupees to get repaired. Because there is one sensor there. This sensor is wasted. So don't forget to at least close the valve. Isn't it? Or better to detach it. Once it is not in use, detach it. And once you will finish the vaginal part, again you come, again you attach and again you take it. So this way, these are the few things how the insufflator can be spoiled. Now another is what to do if suppose insufflator is not working. First important is quadromanometric. Quadromanometric, preset pressure, actual pressure, flow rate, total amount of gas. This is important. All the settings you learned it. Whatever is possibility are these only the possibilities. And if it is going in the hollow viscous, you have the bulge. And in the hollow viscous, what is the difference of the setting of the hollow viscous and the pre-peritoneum? Both are same. If you see there, only difference is in the hollow viscous there was unilateral distension, in pre-peritoneum there was homogeneous distension. And how you will learn that it is going correct, that graph between the actual pressure and total amount of gas used should go parallel. And it depends upon the factors of the variables of the total amount of gas which is required. Those variables are the size of the patient and the muscle relaxant, bowel preparation and all. So this graph is very important. And within 100 or 200 ml, you should learn that where your gas is going. If gas is going in the wrong place, we will take it out and we will reinsert. Now, another question is that what I will do if my insufflator, the gas is lost, it is finished, there is no more gas, then what you will do?
So we will allow them to
Ask, suppose it is not there, then what you do?
Without God we cannot pray.
How you can operate?
We have mentioned.
Pardon?
We have mentioned that without God also.
You cannot operate. But suppose I have already done all the surgery and only at the last, suppose gas is not there, I will not start. But suppose due to any reason I didn't take care, that gas was little bit leaking somewhere or it becomes empty, I was not knowing also, there is one alarm here. It will become red If there is only 1 kg or less than that the gas is there, it will become red and it give you the audible alarm. But sometimes these alarms doesn't work the correct. Especially for the bigger size cylinder, it is confused. And that way, if suppose I have already done the cholecystectomy, just I was about to take the gallbladder out, and gallbladder is lying down there on the liver, or I have done the LAVH, now I have to just inspect, do some suction irrigation. Now what to do? Just take one BP cup and attach the BP cup tubing there. This way, take it out, this BP cup, and attach it there. This is attached. And tell your nurse to keep the pump, the air. See, here this cannula, its distension is there. And then you continue your surgery. It is not necessary to open. Now what is going? Room air is going. Room air. But remember, it is unofficial. It is not that you will make it a habit to do all the surgery with this. Because what is the disadvantage? Interior milieu is not maintained now. Interior milieu is not maintained. If the infection is outside, it can go inside. But in open surgery, always we do like that. In open surgery, never interior milieu is maintained. So there is no harm. There is no harm in using the electrosurgery also, because it is air, it's not a nitrous. Room air. You are doing electrosurgery in open surgery or not? You are doing open surgery electrosurgery. So you can do. And now question is, how I will know how much pressure is there? To learn this, what you do? Pardon? No, it will not be good. It will not be that much appropriate. एक और कैमरा है, एक और कैमरा लाओ. Now, because sphygmomanometer cannot differentiate between 12 and 18, isn't it? It's crude. It is going up to 120. So 10 and 20, it is very difficult to make out. You cannot make out, but it is very easy. You know what you do? You have many cannulas, isn't it? One cannula is used for putting the gas in. With the other cannula, attach the tubing of the insufflator. Yes. See here. And now up pump karo. Now you will see. Pump karo pura. And you will see it will increase. Or pump karo. Actually I am not able to make it complete airtight because I have to two hand. It is a little difficult, the gap in between these two to close, but in abdominal cavity it will happen. Let me try to, yes, और पंप करो. See here. इसका मुंह बंद करो, एक लीक है. दोनों का मुंह बंद करो. And see here, this pressure, हाँ, अब पंप करो. और पंप करो. और पंप करो. See, can you see the pressure? This pressure will give you the actual pressure there. This is increasing. So one abdominal wall is this side, another cannula is that side. This is for in, and this will give you the real pressure. And that way you can control. Her nurse will keep on seeing here. If she will reach the 12, she will stop. Sometimes you can use nebulizer. You can attach the tubing of the nebulizer, and in emergency, and you can use the room air or ambu bag. Some people they use ambu bag also. In the sterilization in the village, in the camp, they always use ambu bag. They don't have the CO2 supply. So with the ambu bag, they put some air and they do the sterilization. Because within 2 minutes it is done. So just fuel air and that's all. But it should not be your habit. It is just in emergency you have to do. Now next question is how to calibrate the insufflator. Remember, if my light source is not working, I know. If my camera is not good, I learn that this picture is not good, telescope is bad. But here the problem is I cannot see that. Suppose it is showing 12, but it is pushing 20. How I will know? It may be 20. How I will know? For that you have to calibrate it. How to calibrate it is very easy. What you do, take one gloves and tie a knot here. After that, wrap one BP cuff here and then start the flow. In the BP cuff, if it is going 12 here or 30 here, the mercury of the BP instrument also should go 30. Isn't it? Because you see the lateral pressure. This is also measuring the pressure. That one is also millimeter of mercury. So both the millimeter of mercury will be equal. And that way you can train your nurse that after every week or every month, they should calibrate the insufflator so that it should not be faulty. Because it is a silent killer. Sometimes it is showing 12 and pushing 20, patient will have the complication. And you will only know once the patient will have complication. Because gas pressure, you cannot see the pressure. If you can see only these digits. And these digits should be correct. Otherwise it is dangerous. So sometimes calibration is required. So this was how the insufflator and quadromanometric indicator works. Is there any question?
How do you calibrate the calibration?
Pardon?
The calibration, how is it done?
Calibration, if it is wrong, you have to open it. If there is one small screw there, plus minus you will do, it will be calibrated. But ideally you should not do your own. You should ask the service engineer to do that. Calibration, you have to open the cover. And there is one electronic device just to calibrate it. Pardon?
If you're doing a diagnostic laparoscopy, and that means you're using just one port, and then your common diaper just finishes immediately. Now, for you to be able to put the other one through the speed, that means you have to create another port.
No, I didn't get you. Means you are saying during diagnostic laparoscopy your gas is finished.
Yes.
Then also you have two port. In diagnostic also you have two port.
You're saying that after one port the gas is
But some use one port.
After one port,
Minimum is two, but some use one port.
no, diagnostic laparoscopy should never be done with a single port. I will tell you, if you are doing, there is a difference between the nomenclature. If you are doing diagnostic laparoscopy with one port, then it is known as peritoneoscopy or cilioscopy. Coelom means peritoneal cavity. You are not doing diagnostic laparoscopy. This is peritoneoscopy term is good because you are having a overall view of the peritoneal cavity. Diagnostic laparoscopy, you need to sweep the bowel away. You need to lift the ovary to see either wall. You have to lift the fallopian tube to see that it is touched there or femoral end of the tube is adhere or not. If you will try to do with the telescope, by the time you will lift it, it will drop again. Uterine manipulator can only lift the uterus up. But if you have that much less gas, that it is that lost, then if you are doing that much with the single port only, that means you don't need more than 5 minutes. Because there is nothing for you to do after 5 minutes there. If you are using single port, then maximum time you need 5 minutes. Because there is nothing more just to lift the uterus, have a look, come out. Or maximum tubal patency. Isn't it? So in those situations you can replace just up to 5 minutes if by the glove, by this BP cuff, if instead of 12, if you have put 20 also no problem. In diagnostic laparoscopy, if you have little more pressure also for few limited time, there is no problem. Problem starts in operative because you have the open vein and the air will start going into the vein. Then air embolism can happen. In diagnostic, you are not breaching the continuity of the tissue, isn't it? So even if the pressure is more for a while, for a few minutes, but if you have after one port only gas will get finished, it generally doesn't happen. Because if that much less pressure is there, insufflator will not start. From beginning only, usko band kar do. I will show you. Usko disconnect kar do. If it will give in a bottle, it will write bottle there. Isko khol do yahan. If it will write the bottle there. Bottle means bottle is empty. It will not start. This machine is intelligent. Because if it knows that I cannot take even the 5-minute work I cannot do, it will not start. It will not allow you to put the varus needle. It will stop there. And it will force you to put the other cylinder.
Give an alarm there.
Yes. I will just show you. See. We have opened and now I am switching it on. Now there is no gas. Now there is no gas and I am switching it on. It will write bottle. Means where is the bottle? There is no gas. So it says that and then there is nothing. No, nothing I can start. Gas is empty, no bottle. So that's the importance of microprocessor control. And if you know that bottle is not there, don't do surgery. Now tell the patient to wait, ask for the another bottle and then you do. Because starting with the air is risky. Because if your air is going into varus riddle, it is going in the middle or at the end of the study, it's not risky. Because you know you do not have varus riddle. But from the beginning, if it is air is you are pushing with the varus riddle, air is going into vein, patient will die due to air imbalance. Right?
You have to put a sterile sleeve over this tubing.
Generally, these tubing you can autoclave also put in the Sidex or formalin chamber. So generally, a sterile sleeve is not required, but you can do. If you want, you can do.
So you mentioned that you should not move the varus needle sideways after you put the varus needle.
You should. This is known as needle movement test. You will get first click, second click, then irrigation, suction, hanging drop. Some people they move it so that if it is touching somewhere, it will give you resistance, and if it is free, it will move freely. But if you are doing it also, do it very gently, because suppose if it is already pierced, it can lacerate your trauma, and that will create some puncture, some leaking of the bowel, fecal material or blood. Yes?
How can you differentiate between the industrial CO2 and medical CO2?
That you have to see the license, their certificate. Medical CO2 you will ask, because medical gas industry has the other certification and industrial gas industry has a separate certification. So either you have to rely upon them or you have to ask for certificate, because just by seeing, for that you have to set up one separate lab for forensic lab.